Hey, you guys, take a picture. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 21st, 2018 caucus meeting for the City of Brook Park. Michelle, please call the roll.
Scott.
Here.
Perugino.
Here.
Orcutt.
Here.
Stem.
Here.
Mancini.
Here.
Poindexter.
Here.
Salvatore.
Here.
Everyone, please stand to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, I'd like to start off by welcoming everybody to the new chambers. I think an outstanding job was done. We'll move right into item number 3, discussion. First item is a resolution declaring September as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in the City of Brook Park and declaring an emergency, introduced by Council President Vecchio per Council President Vecchio. Gentlemen, I'll open up the floor for questions, if anybody has any. Mr. Mancini.
I think it's a great piece. I think we should move ahead with it. We could discuss it for a long time. We've all dealt with it, and I think it's a good piece to move ahead with. It was well brought forward. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Mancini. Mr. Stem.
Thank you, Council President. I agree with Councilman Mancini. Behavioral health is an ongoing issue in this country, which I think we're starting to finally understand it, and I think this is a very important piece. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Salvatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Council President Vecchio, are you going to accept any co-sponsorships?
Well, that was going to be my next question. If members of council would like to be co-sponsors of this, please raise your hand. Council Hall and the mayor. Thank you for asking.
Mr. Chairman, it's going to be for the month of September, so we have a meeting on September 4th, and we also have one on August 28th.
We have one August 28th and then September 4th, correct.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we place it on the August 28th meeting.
Support.
Motion to place on the August 28th meeting agenda, properly supported. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll.
Salvatore.
Yes.
Stem.
Yes.
Mancini,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Bergeron,
Yes.
Orcutt.
Yes.
Motion to place on the August 28th meeting agenda is approved. I've been tossing back and forth on this because obviously it's a safety and it's sort of a legislative, but I think I'm just going to put this into the safety committee and assign it to there. All right, we'll move on to item number 2. An ordinance providing for the submission to the electorate of an amendment to Article 4, Section 4.01 of the Charter of the City of Brook Park, Ohio, and declaring an emergency, introduced by council members D'Amico, Patton, Higgins, Bergio, and Salvatore, per Council President Vecchio. Gentlemen, this is more of a house cleaning item. Mr. Salvatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may, I have had some discussions with our law department as well as the Board of Elections, and this piece of legislation is probably even too old to be considered. So there is another piece that several members of council have been working on that would like to introduce probably within the next few days if we can. But this one, I think we could read this in committee and discuss another piece that would reduce the size of council by only one person. And I think it has the least amount of movement for any charter amendments that makes the most sense. So I'd like to make a motion that we have this one read in committee.
Support?
Motion, this was read in committee, properly supported. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll on the motion.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Bergeron,
Yes.
Orcutt,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Mancini,
Yes.
Stem.
Yes.
Motion approved. This was read in committee. Moving on to item number 3, appropriation of $2,000 for the final payment to the Reynolds for live streaming of meetings and payment to Boxcast through December 2018, per Council President Vecchio. Gentlemen, just so we're aware, there is a final tallied bill for the services from the Reynolds, which includes copying over the last 3 years of meetings from Boxcast for us, a total of $1,030. And then the additional $970 would be for Boxcast expenses through the end of 2018.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Salvatore?
does this figure also include that meeting that they were asked not to come?
No, it does not.
Okay, well, as one councilman, I think they should get paid for that, and I would hope that we would increase this amount by the $100 so that they could be paid for that particular meeting.
Be at council's discretion.
I'm fine with that.
We need to put it into
I'll
a motion.
second it. If that was a motion, I'll second the motion.
So the motion is, Mr. Salvatore, your motion is to increase the $1,030 to $1,130?
If there was only one meeting in question that we were talking about, if that's the case, then yeah, we'd increase it by the $100 fee.
Okay, so we would increase the portion to the Reynolds to $1,130, which would mean we'd have to raise the appropriation amount to $2,100 to cover the remaining expense for Boxcast.
That's fine.
So there's a motion on the floor to raise the appropriation amount of $2,100, which would include an additional $100 to the Reynolds, making a total of $1,130. Properly seconded. Discussion on the motion. Mr. Poindexter.
Thank you, Council President. I have no problem paying for the work that was done, but I find myself not in support of paying for work that wasn't done. So I'm not going to support the change. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Mancini?
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I will be supporting it. There was a lot of hours put in. We had some long meetings. Brandy was always here. She was always set up. It's unfortunate that this had to end for her at this time. As you could see, we're going to a new system, but the service overall was pretty good. Most people who watched it, I didn't hear too many complaints. Once in a while, static, and it could have been from other things at the old building. But this is something that's going to be put to rest now, and so they did do the work. I remember when this first started, and they were looking, I think we looked in a lot of avenues, BW, I think we went to, I think we went to the schools too, at the high schools we were looking, and they chose to step forward and do it. So, so we just move ahead with this, and Michelle will be doing it from here on in, so that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mancini. Mr. Salvatore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to follow up on Councilman Mancini's thoughts, I agree. I mean, when we renegotiated that price and the price came down, it was, you take the good with the bad. You may be here for 3 hours and make $100. You may be here for 15 minutes and get $100. But it was based on a per night basis. And when we converted from per meeting to per night, I really believe that they shouldn't have been told not to come. Even if the meeting was going to be shortened by a 15 or 20 or 30-minute meeting, so be it. We made an agreement, and I just want to make sure that we keep our end of the bargain. So I will be supporting it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Salvatore. Anyone else? All right, so the motion on the floor, properly supported, will be to amend the appropriation to a total of $2,100, of which $1,130 of that will be paid to the Reynolds. Michelle, please call the roll on the motion.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Mancini?
Yes.
Poindexter?
No.
Stem?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
6-1.
Motion is approved.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Salvatore?
do you need a motion to place this on tonight's council agenda under verbal approval?
Yes.
Support.
Support.
I'll make that motion.
Motion to place on tonight's council agenda under verbal approval, properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Mancini?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Motion is approved. This will show under letter J of tonight's council agenda for verbal approval. Moving on to item number 4, Legislative Committee, Chairman Mancini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the Legislative Committee on number 4, we have an ordinance amending Section 10108D of the Brook Park Codified Ordinances entitled Charges for Service Request, copies of city records and declare an emergency, introduced by Council President Vecchio. Council, floor is open.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Salvatore, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to go over this real briefly, I know that the sponsor was Council President Vecchio, and I'm sure we all know that we can only charge whatever the cost is for doing so, and I'm sure that you have took that into consideration when you brought this forward.
Yes, so we actually polled, I had our clerk poll clerks from other cities. So we received 8 or 9 total, and we went through them all, and we looked across what everybody has charge-wise accordingly. We are somewhere with this going right into the middle. Our previous charges for any of our public records requests have not changed. They've actually been brought forward, so the amounts are currently still there that was in this previously. They're just broken down more. Additionally, we've added to it that we would be charging for additional request of copies being passed out to members of council, or even out of other departments for the same items. We have currently the different departments with leased scanners, copiers. The total bill for the city is $2,000 per month for all of our copiers and scanners. That does not include paper. So looking across the charges, and we have 5 cents per page, 5 cents per scanned document, which is a page going through those scanners, 10 cents for, or 25 cents for color, and our normal charges that are down through it that have existed since, I believe, 2010.
Councilman Salvatore, continue.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I would feel a lot more comfortable if we had these figures verified and certified and make sure that that we don't pass something prematurely. So I would like to move this to the next caucus and ask the clerk if she couldn't verify these numbers.
If I could, this did go through the law department also.
Okay, all right. I'd like the clerk to verify these numbers, make sure that they're correct. And if the law department wants to work with her, I can't tell you what to do, but I can ask for your assistance. So if we could put the two of them together, I would feel more comfortable putting this off for another week and then getting it certified.
Okay. Council, any other questions? Councilman Poindexter, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Through the chair to
Thank
the Council President. I'm not sure where the city would accrue a cost for an email transmission or a scanned document. There's no material purchased or anything like that. Could you expound on that, please?
Yes, the scanner itself, the scanner copier, the documents for anything that is not currently housed electronically have to be scanned in, have to be scanned through the scanner, which in turn uses the toner to go through for those pages into an electronic format to be sent. So the charge is for the scanning, the per page scan.
I'm just not seeing where the city, the city's already paying the cost of the person to scan, and it's already purchased the equipment. It has there's no cost for that scan to be scanned.
There's no cost for the employee, but the cost that is incurred to the city for the piece of equipment is chargeable.
I don't read the rule that way, but
It's per the Secretary of State.
yeah, I mean, I read the rule. It doesn't say anywhere in there about charging for.
Right. And council, this is put together. This is put together. If you want to make changes, you're more than welcome to do so. I just took the look across from what everybody had and broke it down. Something that it has not been done in, I believe, like I said, the last time was 2010. So in 8 years, it has not been done. And there are a lot of copies from different departments that are made. That is a cost incurred to the city. I mean, I believe we're somewhere in the city probably in the $30,000 a year range just for paper. Just for paper. Out of the council office alone, we spend over $5,000.
But scanning of email or sending email transmission or scanned documents doesn't cost any paper.
No, it costs on the toner and the equipment that we're paying for. That's leased at $2,000 per month just out of the council office. So this is a breakdown across the city. The ordinance would affect all the departments in the city, of which we're paying $24,000 on our lease payments for the equipment.
I'm sorry, I don't think I understand. What toner is used to email something?
It's not, you have to scan the document in, as I already said. If it's scanned in, if the document has to be scanned, it's using the toner that goes through along with the piece of equipment, the scanner itself, and transmits it through.
I don't think scanning uses toner.
It has to.
It's a digital imprint of the
exactly.
document.
It reads it through, which has to go through the scanner. But as I said, if you guys are not comfortable with it, make the appropriate changes. We're here for discussion on it, which is where it's at.
I'd support Councilman Salvatore's idea to let's move this forward to another caucus agenda because I think it needs more discussion.
Okay, that's fine. Council President, you done?
I just answered the question, sir.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I
I'm
got
done.
it. Well, my feelings on this is I do have copies of other cities that we've looked at, and we are here today in a new building. There's times to move on, there's times to, change some things, and we're doing that. We're being progressive, and I like what we're doing here. We're discussing it. We'll go back over this, and I'm sure we'll get this worked out. But there is a time when you do sometimes gotta, make them changes as tough as they could be, and sometimes it's cost, even though it's as minimal as going 5 cents to 10 cents. So that's what we have to look at. We're gonna look at it, and we're gonna work with this. And I concur with my colleague, Councilman Salvatore, and that you know, we're going to go back this week and take a look at it and, you know, question over some of this. But with most of these cities, we are in the middle. I mean, it's not like we're way above anybody or we're way below. We're kind of in the middle. So with a lot of these prices. So, Council, what do we have? Councilman Salvatore, are you going to make the motion on that? Or anybody want to make a motion to put this back?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to move it to the next caucus agenda.
I'll support.
There's been a motion made to put it back in the next caucus agenda, properly supported. Clerk, can we have a roll call?
Salvatore,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Mancini,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Orcutt.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Salvatore,
if I
go
may,
ahead.
thank you. I just want to make sure that we are on the same page, that our clerk and the law department will get together and certify these numbers.
Madam Law Director, feel free, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, motions are made, put it back, and this will come back out. We'll get this worked through. Thank you, Council, Mr. Chairman, and I'd like to make one little motion. You know, well, we're in a new building here. Some things don't work. So far, it's been great, but Councilman Stem whispered in my ear. Someone told him we weren't on camera. Now we got dressed up in a new building, so I had to slide. We have to slide over a little to get on camera. So. Just figured I'd get that out there. But so far, things are going really well, and there's a lot of people to thank for that. So, and thank you guys for coming today to the first meeting at the
Mr.
Rec
Chairman,
Center.
you think maybe you weren't on camera by design?
Could have been. How do you say that? So,
Who's
Councilman
running the camera?
Salvatore.
Right there.
Thank you, Mr.
Am
Mancini.
I on?
We're not on here.
You want to switch with me?
We just reduced the size of the council and didn't even vote.
It's either that or the camera just wasn't big enough for you, sir. All right, so that ordinance will appear on the August 28th caucus agenda. Moving on to item number 5, motion to adjourn.
Motion so made.
Support.
Motion to adjourn, properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini,
Yes.
Salvatore,
Yes.
Poindexter,
Yes.
Stem,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Bergio,
Yes.
Orcutt.
Yes.
Motion is approved. The regular caucus meeting is adjourned. We will reconvene in 10 minutes at 7:30 for the council meeting.
I guess not.
Can I scoot back now, or just pull?
You have to scoot over. Greg does. You know.
What you do is you go mute.
Okay. We didn't talk about that.
All the microphones, listen. Hey, so you know, these microphones, when Michelle comes in next, stay on. She mutes it here. Because this live stream is going to start about 5 minutes before the meeting does. Right. So all this talk and noise you're hearing is coming through all the microphones. Right. And we can't control that without this button. Okay.
So you can't rotate that camera?
So we can just,
That's not what you're. That's not what the vision looks like.
so we can turn these back on and leave them on.
Yes, they can be on and they will not make a noise.
Until she gets
So
Okay. All right.
I can scoot back over and do something.
Yeah, you don't. I'll show you where.
Because I want to go.
No, you're more than in the space.
Are we streaming?
Believe me, I've got it. We spent all
me
day
go.
making sure that we can see it.
Me? I'm sorry. That one didn't go through. It was on the agenda for discussion, but it never went through. Oh, I'm on airplane mode. I can't get anything.
Put your glasses on, Mike. You'll look a little different.
Here, you want to look at him?
Look at him again.
Just because I can't walk, doesn't mean I can't pick you up out of this chair and put you down to the lower level.
Hey, listen, this would have been fine.
my clock's off, but yeah, let's go.
That's it.
All right, let's go. Okay. Oh, yeah, unmute it.
Volume up. Turn them back on.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, August 21st, 2018 council meeting for the City of Brook Park. Michelle, please call the roll.
Scott?
Here.
Bergio? Here. Orcutt?
Here.
Stem?
Here.
Mancini?
Here.
Poindexter?
Here.
Salvatore?
Here.
Everyone, please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, moving on to letter C, approval of minutes of preceding meetings. We have 13 sets. Gentlemen, I guess I'll start this out. If there are any changes that are necessary, let's get those out of the way, and then if we could make motions in mass for these to move forward would probably be best instead of going through every individual one.
And we,
Mr. Mancini?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, and we do, it'll be number 6 and number 13 are gonna have to have some corrections in them.
Do we have those corrections for amendments now?
I'll let my colleague, Mr. Poindexter, go with that.
Thank you, Mr. Mancini. I would like to just maybe have them reworked. I think there's several things that need to be changed in them, and I just like to give the clerk an opportunity to redo them.
Yeah,
Are you talking 6 and 13?
Yeah, number 6, the caucus prior to meeting on July 17th.
okay.
And then number 13, special council meeting held on August 3rd.
All right, then if that's the case, those two, I would entertain a motion to move those to the next meeting, the August 28th meeting, so that the corrections can be made.
Motion so made.
I'll support that.
All right, so the motion on the floor to move item number 6 and items number 13, which is the caucus prior to meeting held on July 17th, 2018, and the special council meeting held on August 3rd, 2018, to the August 28th council meeting. Properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Mancini?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Those two items, 6 and 13, will appear on the August 28th council meeting. Any other changes, gentlemen? Mr. Bergio?
Mr. Chairman, I'll be abstaining from number 1, the caucus meeting June 26th.
Okay. Mr. Bergio will be abstaining from the first one. All right, so I would like to take the...
Mr. Council President, I will be abstaining from number 8 through 12.
8 through 12.
I was on vacation during those
Okay.
special meetings.
All right, so let the record show that Mr. Bergio will be abstaining from the first one, which is a special caucus meeting held on June 26, 2018, and that Mr. Poindexter will be abstaining from items 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, which those meetings are July 24th, July 26th, in their group. Mr. Salvatore?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would recommend that we take those meetings individually then. We'll take the first one and let so Carl can abstain, and then we'll do the a motion for 8 through 12. So Councilman Poindexter could abstain on those, and they'll be on record according in the proper fashion.
I could agree with that. I would say let's do that without. All right, so we'll start with number 1. Special caucus meeting minutes held on June 26, 2018. Michelle, please call the roll of approval.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, there was no motion.
We need support and a motion. I don't have
You know
anything.
what? I thought you already made that motion.
No.
I'm sorry.
I got nothing.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Support.
Motion made by Mr. Mancini, properly supported by Mr. Poindexter.
There we go.
Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini?
Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bergio?
Abstain.
Orcutt?
Yes.
The special caucus meeting minutes held on June 26, 2018 have been approved. I'll entertain a motion to do the same with items 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Support.
Motion to move to items number 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 properly supported for approval. Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini.
Yes.
Stem.
Yes.
Poindexter.
Abstain?
Salvatore.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Bergio.
Yes.
Orcutt.
Yes.
6 to 1.
Meeting minutes from items 8 through 12 have been approved. All right, gentlemen, I will.
Mr. Council President, I'd like
Mr.
to make a
Pointer.
motion to approve items 2 through 5 and number 7.
Motion on the floor to approve the meeting minutes of items 2 through 5 and 7.
I'll
Support.
Properly supported. Discussion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll on approval.
Poindexter.
Yes.
Bergio.
Yes.
Orcutt.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Salvatore.
Yes.
Mancini.
Yes.
Stem.
Yes.
Items 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7 meeting minutes held on the following dates: June 29th, July 3rd, July 10th, and July 17th have been approved. Moving on to letter D, reports of standing committees. First one is Aviation and Environmental Committee. Chairman Poindexter.
Thank you, Council President. The Aviation Environmental Committee has no report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Move to the Finance Committee. Chairman Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Finance Committee has one item on the agenda tonight. Also, the Board of Control met today, and there were 29 items that were approved. That's all I got.
Thank you. Move to the Legislative Committee. Chairman Mancini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had one ordinance in caucus tonight, and other than that, I have no report. Thank you.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation Committee. Chairman Salvatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Rec Commission met on the 16th, and Andres Gonzalez was pinch hitting for Director Elliott, and he did a fabulous job with that particular meeting. He recapped all the programs, both softball and baseball programs. They were a huge success this summer. Talked about the summer movies, and they were also a good time had by all. And he asked me to relay to council that the new screen and everything that council approved during the budget talks, that's going over very well. And I'm sure the director might elaborate a little more on that in his report. The football sign-ups are over, and we're gonna only have 2 flag teams in the 5- and 6-year-old bracket. Padded flag is now going to be starting for the 7- and 8-year-olds, and we're going to have 1 team at 11 and 12, and 1 team in the tackle league of 9 and 10. He also talked a little bit about some meetings that were held with the school board, and there'll be more coming on that as we move forward. Looks like some exciting things may be coming forward in the area of recreation. Talk a little bit more about that, and I'm sure the director will elaborate more on that, and maybe the mayor may talk about it a little bit in the near future. There's 2 more concerts left for us. There's one this Thursday and next Thursday. And September 22nd will be our open house for the safety fair. It was a huge success last year, and we're expecting it to be as good, if not better, this coming year. Other than that, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Salvatore. Planning Committee. Chairman Bergio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing new to report since I gave my last report.
Thank you. Safety Committee. Chairman Stem.
Thank you, Council President. 2 items. First, our next Neighborhood Watch meeting is Wednesday, September 19th at 7 p.m. at the library. And then secondly, the Police and Fire of a Safety Fair here at the Rec Center, September 22nd, between 11 and 2 p.m. Thank you. That ends my report.
Thank you, Mr. Stem. Move to the Service Committee. Chairman Orcutt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The Service Committee has nothing on tonight's agenda, but I do want to make one point out. I just wanted everybody in the city know that their stuff is getting, the list of stuff that the Service Department has to do, it has been building up. And the men and women have been working very hard on all the tasks that they have with trees to cut down and all the different things that they are doing. For the residents that are calling me, we're getting those emails out to the mayor's office as soon as possible. He's been transferring them over. So I just want to take this moment to thank everybody in the Service Department. Mr. Gardner, your men and women, if you could please let them know we appreciate all their hard work. Thank you very much. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Orcutt. We'll move on to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Chairman Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Board of Zoning Appeals met on Monday, August 6th. We had one item on the agenda. It was a request to extend a privacy fence beyond the rear line of the main structure at 6298 Smith Road, located in the U1A3 zone, and the applicants were James and Roxanne Harmuth. The board unanimously approved the variance, and that's all we had. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. That concludes letter D. We'll move on to letter E, reports of special committees. First one is Southwest General Health Center. Trustee Salvatore.
Thanks again, Mr. Chairman. I'll start my report off by reporting that our first-year employee turnover rate for the year has decreased to 18.6%, and our overall retention for new employees hired in 2018 remained at 95%. So we're doing very well in that category. We received official notice from the American College of Surgeons Committee on trauma that our Level 3 trauma program has been re-verified for a period of 3 years. The Northeast Ohio Parent Magazine has recognized Southwest General's maternity services as a 2018 Parent Choice recipient. We received the honorable mention recognition in the best place to have a baby for 2018 at Northeast Ohio Parents Choice Award, that's great news for our hospitals. Another award that they just keep piling up. We keep doing a fabulous job over there, and I'd like to commend everybody that's participating, especially our doctors and our leadership team. They're doing an excellent job. The sports medicine program, there's a new banner flying over at the softball fields in Berea for Berea Mid-Park High School. The banner notes the partnership with our schools to support our athletic program. So when you're driving by, maybe take a look, maybe take a notice of the banner that's flying there. And Southwest General Hospital will continue to provide the people in our community numerous drug awareness education programs. And we had a couple this past year and one the previous year. Councilman Scott was very instrumental in putting those together, and it's becoming very, very noticeable that it's a major epidemic. We have to really dig in and start looking at ways we can solve some of these issues. We are working diligently with our schools, the churches, our police department, fire department, the administration. Everybody is really digging in, trying to come up with some better ways to get these messages out. But I'm going to share some staggering numbers with you that were brought to our attention. Across the United States, 50,000 people have died from overdosing on opioids in 2017. In Ohio, the death rate from opioid use rose 39% from 2016 to 2017. And now we have the second most overdose deaths in the country. In Cuyahoga County alone, we had 666 in 2016, and that rose to 822 in 2017. So the only thing that I can say on a serious note and the positive note is I think we all are digging in and trying to solve this problem. And it's astonishing because I was watching the news before I came to the meeting, and there was an article, I think it was Channel 19 was talking about it, that the city of Cleveland has spent over $500,000 just this year alone on the Arcans to bring people back to life who are in a position that they're dying, and they're saving lives. And that's just in the city of Cleveland. And that went from a small amount, it was like $30,000 2 years ago to $250,000 last year, and now it's up to $500,000. And that's just the city of Cleveland. So all I can say is, Richard Scott, make sure you keep pushing. We need to get some more involvement from our administration and from our council to make people aware of where we're headed and what we can do as a team and a group effort to do some drastic things to slow this down. Other than that, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Salvatore. Move to the Berea Board of Education Committee. Ms. McDonald.
Good evening, everyone. Bear with me, there's a lot of information. So over the summer, we had groundbreaking for our new high school as well as our new elementary school in Brook Park. As of yesterday morning, the council approved our new treasurer, and I will have more information and some fun facts about her at my next update. We have a new pupil service director. Her name's Lori Bobenchuk, and she actually was approved in the summer. If you have students that go to Brookview, you should have received your information by the 10th. It was mailed for teachers. Grindstone parents, Brook Park Memorial students, all of that information was mailed out on August 13th. Yesterday was the first round of open house for Berea Mid-Park Middle School. That was for 5th graders and 7th graders. Tomorrow is the open house for 6th grade and 8th grade. It went really well. I encourage people to get there a little early because we know due to construction, parking is kind of limited as of right now. Big Creek Elementary School, they already had their preschool orientation. Yesterday, they had their first orientation for 2nd and 3rd graders. Next week will be 1st and 4th graders. Brook Park Memorial kindergarten orientations are all kindergarten orientations are on the 29th. And let's see, I'm forgetting somebody. Let me double check here. So what is definitely different? Oh, high school. Sorry. The high school orientation has been changed. So if anyone has children that are in high school, it is still August 23rd, but from 5:30 to 7 p.m. is for the 10th graders and the 12th grade parents. They will actually get to walk their students' schedule. There will be a small bell schedule, and so they'll get to experience that and ask questions. 7:30 to 9 p.m. will be 9th graders and 11th grade parents as well. Again, the reason why it's been broken up like that is because of the construction. There is less parking. First day of school for all elementary schools and the middle school is August 23rd, which is Thursday. What is different is that the high school, if you have a student who is in 10th grade, their first day of school is August 23rd. They will be going to school from 7:30 to 2:30. Bus transportation and everything will be there. 9th grade students are only going on August 24th. From 7:30 to 2:30. Transportation is included. August 27th, all 4 grades, as well as Polaris, will start with their regular schedule. So that is definitely different. I encourage all parents to check the website because that is new information. If they have not received their bus information, again, that's on the website, but all of that information is all ready to go. Today, our K through 2nd grade teachers were trained in youth mental health first aid. So as of right now, we now have all of our middle school teachers, all of our high school teachers, all of our nutrition specialists, 3 rounds of transportation. We only have 1 more trained in youth mental health first aid. And then we will finish up the 18-19 school year with youth mental health first aid. And then everyone in the district, including new hires, will have background training in mental health and behavior supports, which is really exciting. Let me double check here. If parents have not had access to Final Forms or Infinite Campus, please do so. We are moving into a technology-based program as far as documentation goes. However, if you do not have internet available at your home, you are also welcome to go to all the schools and use the media centers as well as the local library. And I think that is the report. There's nothing else right now. Any questions or anything I can help you guys with?
Council questions for Ms. McDonald? Mr. Salvatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one quick question. I noticed over at Ford that they took off part of the front of the auditorium. Is there something else going on that's different than what the original plan showed?
As far as I know, the original plans are still go. I will double check that. I know that there was some issues of different things that they had to investigate. So I will have that answer next council meeting.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Mr. Mancini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through the chair to Rachel. Rachel, great report.
Thank you.
One of the things I'd like to know, and we've seen the parking lot tonight was pretty full for BPM. And maybe in the next report, could we get like how the enrollment, whether it went up or down?
Oh, yeah.
Would that be good? Could you do
I
that?
will say that we had a good problem, which is a little stressful, but as of yesterday, they were putting out job openings for another kindergarten position and another first grade position at BPM. There was another opening for Big Creek. So I will let you know numbers, but it looks like we're increasing in certain areas.
Oh,
yeah.
good to hear. Good to hear. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mancini. Mr. Stem?
Thank you, Council President. Also, great report. I'm glad to hear that teachers are being trained in behavioral health issues. There's so many undiagnosed cases out there that when a crisis intervention occurs in the school now, we'll have the staff there to support it to prevent anything,
Right.
worse from happening. So it's good news.
So we have two different types of threat assessment. We have threat assessment training, and then we also have youth mental health first aid training as well. Yeah.
Mr. Poindexter.
Thank you, Council President. Rachel, great report. You touched on all the points I had and then some. Really nice report. I would just like to wish all the students and staff a good, safe, and memorable school year. I think there's some good things going to come out of the school district, and I'm looking forward to this year.
A shout out to the custodial staff in Brook Park. They did a statistic yesterday that said for the amount of teacher stuff that had to be moved from Ford to all the new places, it was the equivalent of moving 83 houses. And they did it all themselves in-house. So the board asks that everyone just remember, please be patient, because there are going to be some bumps in the road. And hopefully everything continues going as smooth as it is. So. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald. Thank you, Mr. Poindexter, for weighing in on that also.
You're welcome.
All right, we will continue on to letter F, reports of boards and commissions. We do not have any this evening. Letter G, introductions of resolutions of commendation. There are none there either. H, reports and communications from the mayor. Mayor Gamella.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the new council chambers. And as you well know, City Hall has also moved to the other side of the building, the north end, in the old daycare. So that's where City Hall is now located. It was a very taxing move, a lot of work that was done. And I'd like to thank my staff, and in particular, my chief of staff, Tony D'Amico, who did an outstanding job. But all the employees here at City Hall, too. Everyone chipped in. They made the move. And we're making the best of what we have. I think everybody out there knows I was not a proponent of the Recreation Center project. We have inherited it, and we're going to make the very best we can out of it. So with that said, again, I'd like to thank everyone, Mark staff, everyone here, Randy staff, who made the move much, much easier. Last week, I had the opportunity to meet with the CEO in Detroit of Ford Land. And let me say that there's two separate entities here we're dealing with. You have the Ford Motor Company, but then you have Ford Land. They're two separate corporations, even though they fall under the same umbrella. They have a separate CEO, Roger Davinsky. They now have control over that property. I met with him. We had a very good discussion. And fortunately, I know him from my past life. I have a good relationship with him, as long as with a lot of other people at Ford Land. One of the biggest projects we have to do, and one of the biggest projects I'm taking on as mayor of this city, is getting something substantial on that property. That's my plan. That's what I intend to do. Something that's more in a high-tech realm to move this city forward. So I can't divulge everything that we discussed at that meeting. I think we have some excellent opportunities out there, but I can tell you this, they are working with us extremely, extremely closely to develop that property. Also, my suggestion, Mr. Davinsky, was simply this. We're not just going to market this in the United States. We need to market this property to a worldwide market. Japan, Germany, China, Romania, Czechoslovakia. We need to be out there on a worldwide basis because we have a piece of property right next to a major airport, right next to some major interstate systems, great transportation. We have to put our best foot forward and sell that property and help Ford to get the best development out of that they can for this community. So I want to also thank the people who put the planters in on Snow Road. One of the comments I got from one of the people at Ford Land was, hey, those planters look great over there. Hey, they really look nice. So it's the little things that make a difference. So I'll be reporting back to council as this progresses, but I want to let you know we are moving forward on it, and I do look for good things that come about there in the next year or so. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor. Questions? Mr. Mancini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, very good to hear about Ford. We still have to work as if it will happen or if it won't happen, but that's good to hear, and I think it'd be good for Brook Park, but not only that, but just for the whole region as a whole. Absolutely, anything that could be done. I'm glad we're working to hopefully achieve that goal, and I know it's hard work. That said, I did want to ask the streets when we talked at the last council meeting at the old building, and you said maybe we'd get a list of streets that with the crack ceiling. Did we get that list yet? Did we get anything, or should I save that for our engineer?
We do have a list. I talked with Ed. He did it on a priority basis, which is how it should be done. And I'm sure he'll probably bring that up as a report or probably talk to us individually after the meeting.
Okay, and to follow up, I would like to meet with you when you do have time, talk about a senior center and cover a little bit on the R&Bs a little bit. We had a little thing this week, but I know you had said you had wanted to, you had a little bit you wanted to bring to that. We'll see, but that's on the short-term leases. So remember you had said at a couple of meetings past that you had wanted to.
If you recall, I brought that up at a meeting or two back because I still think this is going to be a major issue. But what's happening is you have people actually running a business in a residential area, and to me it's wrong. It's just like running a hotel there. So this is something not just this community has to address, but all communities have to address, and we have to make sure that we do it in a way where the city is not going to be liable and that we can move forward and enforce it. But I can tell you a lot of other mayors in Caucus County have the same concerns I do. We can't allow people to run a business in a residential area, and it's really just that simple. And I won't say anything more about it, but we're going to work diligently to try to put an end to that.
Well, I agree, enforcing it's big, and you know, I just somebody will take the challenge against one of the municipalities and say, well, I think I can do this. People run businesses out of the home, they rent their home, and so I think that's where it's going to be a little bit of a tight rope there a little bit. But I'm looking forward on working on that because, you know, none of us you know, want things to get out of control, anything of that sort. We want things to be right for the other residents that live in them areas. I think that's the key. You know, it's not so much the business there, and sometimes it's the people who live around that. So that's what, I mean, I think we should strive to work for. Your thoughts?
It's definitely about the people who live around that, because that's the biggest investment most people make is their home. The issue is not so much if somebody rents their house for a week or 2 weeks or the Browns win the Super Bowl or something. That's not the issue. The issue is when you have a piece of property and your full intention is to rent it out 52 weeks out of the year. It's not just a rental. At that point, in my opinion, it's a hotel. So it's got to be addressed.
Okay, and we will. And again, when you do have time and it's no rush, we talked about a senior center. I think now's a good time as any to start looking where this is near coming to completion, but I'm looking forward to that too. And I did find out we are on camera, so I'm all happy now. It's all good. So,
thank you, Mr. Mancini.
One question, Mr. Mancini. As far as the senior center, there is a spot. We are looking at that. Good. So just to let you know.
Thank you, Mr. Orcutt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, a question about Ford Land. What's their intent to do with that land, that new department that has that land? Are they going to develop it themselves into an industrial parkway? Are they going to sell it off to different companies?
Well, Ford Land isn't new. They've been around for many, many years. They do some gigantic projects. Their intent is to get the best, well, frankly, their intent is to get the most money they can out of it. Let's be first and foremost out of it with that. The environmental cleanup, you know, I questioned, and you know, that's going to be an issue as well. It's not as bad as some people portray it to be, but it is an issue. So what I would like to see, and what I'm angling for, is one big blockbuster business in there. One big home run, a grand slam. And there's a few things out there I see on the horizon possibly that I spoke with them about. And again, I really can't discuss it here. However, we're trying. That's a very, very, very valuable piece of property in my opinion. right next to an airport, right next to the interstates. I think there's a lot we can do with that. It's just got to be assertively addressed, and that's exactly what I intend to do, and that's what I am doing.
Well, that's certainly good news. It's better than no news. What is the acreage over there, Mayor? How many acres?
The total site has 367 acres. However, they're going to parcel off part of it. They already have, as a matter of fact, because Plant 1 is still a viable operation and probably will be for the next 15 years or so, hopefully better. But as of right now, you've probably, give or take, I would say 230 acres is what we're talking about.
Well, that's very good news, and I hopefully everything that goes well with them, and we're able to land that big company that we're talking about, because then we could obviously bring in a lot more revenue for our streets and all the other different things in our pool and everything else that we need. You brought up businesses and neighborhoods. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm fully behind you with that one. I know you and I have discussed one over in Ward 3 that basically we have a resident running an automotive repair shop out of his house over there. So I do look forward in the future working with you and your staff on taking care of that issue. So thank you. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
And just to let you know, I'm familiar with that, gentleman. That's been a long-standing issue over there, but it's got to stop.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Orcutt. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, we will now move on to letter I, reports and communications from departments, commissions, and other public officials. We'll start with Finance Director, Mr. Single.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a brief update on the 2017 audit. The Auditor of State's Office did review the audit report that was completed by James G. Zguppa, CPA Incorporated, the independent accounting firm, public accounting firm that audited 2017 financial records for the city. No findings were mentioned. The report was approved by the Auditor of State's Office. It is a clean audit report. I'd like to thank the mayor, members of council, all the department heads, and my staff for your assistance in making this happen. The printing of the financial reports was on the Board of Control tonight and was approved, so the reports will begin to be printed by the printer. As soon as we get them, we'll distribute them as appropriate. And that concludes my report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Single. Move to the Rec Director, Mr. Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to mention that Mayor Camella and I met today with the Metro Parks to discuss the framework of the Cuyahoga County Greenways and the Rocky River Reservation Master Plan, linking all the trails and bikeways throughout the region. It's the second meeting we've had with those folks, and it's a couple of upcoming public meetings which we also plan to attend and continue to discuss at future discussions. Just like to remind a couple reminders, we do have our annual dog swim this Saturday, August 25th, out in the water park. It's from 11 to 1 p.m. The upcoming football program begins on Saturday, September 8th. Earlier tonight, the 7th and 8th grade school teams had a doubleheader, so they're out there playing as we speak. Some other programming that is going on now. We recently had a couple real successful events utilizing the movie screen we had purchased earlier, a luau and a outdoor movie at the water park last weekend. And that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. We'll move on to the Law Director, Ms. Horvath.
It's okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no report tonight, but will be submitting for council at the next meeting a list of pending civil cases. And I just wanted to take this time to thank everyone who helped the law department move and settle in, primarily service department and Mr. Garner. We couldn't have done it without their help. And also to thank all the departments for helping us be able to move in there and be comfortable. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to our engineer, Mr. Piatek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. couple projects to update everyone on this evening. The new parking lot over at the City Hall, the relocated City Hall, it's currently being advertised for bids right now. Proposals are due for submission on August 30th over at City Hall, so I look forward to getting that project rolling. I'm sure the people that, the employees over there are looking forward to that as well. In addition, the 2018 crack and joint fill project is currently being advertised starting on this Thursday, August 23rd, and those bids are due September 6th. In my absence over the summer, I guess there were some questions that had come up about the crack fill project and locations and how we're going to go about this. Typically, this project is a quantity-based project. It's not really a location-based project. You guys allocate, council allocates a certain dollar amount. I do the math and kind of come up with a unit price per gallon of crack fill, and I equate that and put that into the bid documents, and that's what we bid. So this year, I've estimated 12,600 gallons of crack fill to be utilized within the city. That's 3,150 gallons per ward, and I'm going to do my best to keep the splits within the wards equal. The ward councilman provided me locations, I guess kind of their wish list of streets and locations that they wanted crack filled. I've looked at those lists and I've kind of pared it down. I think some of the streets that are on those lists really don't even warrant crack fill. I think they maybe warrant asphalt resurfacing. So, you know, I'm going to work within the lists that were provided by council, and I'm going to do my best to stay within those. But you know, just please keep in mind that all the streets on the list, there's not nearly enough quantity to address all the streets that were provided to me. But I'll do my best to stretch the material, make it go as far as I can. I know there were some questions regarding the Sylvia reconstruction project that was completed last year. That was between Fry and Smith. You drive up and down there, and I know you see some of the tree lawns maybe didn't come in real well. Just the contractor Fabrizi is aware that the landscaping has not been accepted. They've agreed to come back and remedy the situation. I think it's in everybody's best interest that you know, we just be patient for a little while yet. The cooler weather, wetter weather is coming. Although I think I hear it raining now, but so they'll be back when we have a little cooler weather and address the tree lawns within that project and other projects that were completed last year as well. Lastly, just a little heads up, there's going to be legislation coming forward requesting submission of a public works application for some funding for the Sheldon Road resurfacing project. That's the one that's scheduled to go to construction next year. We've already got a commitment from the county on that project. We're splitting the balance of that with Middleburg Heights, but I thought it'd be a good application, good joint application with Middleburg Heights to go in and try and secure some additional funding from Public Works for that project. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Piatek. We'll move to our Service Director, Mr. Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Service Department used approximately 57 tons of asphalt over the last 7 weeks. Moving on through the city, early in the season, we addressed some safety issues and some larger concerns, and now we're going through the neighborhoods, trying to just wrap up some smaller issues, problem areas. Next on the list, Independence, Liberty Bell, Independence Court, and then on out to Settlement Park, Franklin, Zarumba, and Kathleen. We did approximately 66 sewer calls and 6 camera jobs on sanitary and storm lines. 5 days over the past 7 weeks, we had some tree trimming. 3 trees removed, 2 for dig jobs, scheduled for tomorrow and Thursday. We've continued our maintenance on ball fields. Like the rec director said, football starts today, and that's a pretty big ordeal to get that football field ready to go, especially at the beginning of the season. Bulk pickup last Monday netted us 75 tons, and it was completed in the Monday allotment. Grass cutting throughout the city, all the properties, all of our roadways, whatever, has been cut, and we're cutting 14 vacant properties from the building department. We did take on the move for City Hall to the rec department, or into the rec on the north end of the rec center, and council here. There's a few miscellaneous items left to go on, work on that. Some signage will be out shortly. The Vector was out about 3 weeks ago. We did the entire Fairlawn area. That'd be 147, 48, 49, 50, 51, Elm, and Marginal. Cleaned all the catch basins and jetted on 148, the sanitary and the storm line in both directions. We did some crosswalks late in July, and then we pulled off to do some street painting. We started the white today. Hopefully, some better weather this week. We'll finish that up, and then we'll do the hand spraying of the arrows, turn indicators, and miscellaneous items like that, and then try to finish a few more crosswalks before the weather gets too bad. Other than that, unless there's any questions, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Gentlemen, questions for directors? Mr. Bergia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Randy, Service Director, I hate to bring it up, but how are we set for the winter time with the snowplow trucks and purchasing the salt and all that kind of stuff? We prepared for that already?
Our salt contract was, we're in with the state. We made our application in, so that's all set. We've started prepping our snowplows and stuff 2 months ago. I think Board of Control had several POs today for Glen Hill, our plow equipment, any blades that we need to have on hand to start with. So all the trucks will be serviced, oil changed, greased, miscellaneous things like that to get ready for the season.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I had.
Thank you. Mr. Poindexter.
Thank you, Council President. Through the chair to the rec director. It's sad to see the rec pool closing and early, but I just wanted I wanted to ask for the residents. The dog swim, is that this weekend? Saturday. Okay, I missed that.
11 to 1.
11 to 1.
Right. Okay. And just to mention on the pool, it was we had hoped to get to Labor Day weekend. One of the problems with the main pool here being closed, there is not a pool of or a full staff complement of guards. So those kids that we're hiring, they're seasonal employees. We know that, made up of high school kids and college primarily. And the colleges are starting earlier and earlier. We had probably half of them leave last week and the others this week. We had just a handful left who actually will be on hand Saturday for the dog swim. But that was primarily the reason that we couldn't get there. And as the summer ended, the numbers too became less and less. But we'll try to address that. I think the real solution to that is if we do a guard training here, we host one, do some of the training, can get more of the kids in our city and probably in the school system who are home, so close by, and we can keep them on a little bit longer and extend it to Labor Day like we'd like to. Okay.
Yeah, it's sad to see it close because I know as soon as it closes, the temperature is going to go through the roof. That's the way it seems to always happen. So
that's our luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poindexter. Mr. Orcutt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair to our service director, Mr. Gardner, I wanted to thank you publicly for the quick response with the Vector to the Fairlawn area after that big rainstorm. West 148th Did they find anything, any obstruction whatsoever?
To Councilman Orcutt, in the storm line coming from the north to Elm, I believe, well, I found 3 bricks in the line. Certainly not a major obstruction, but we did retrieve those. Other than that, both lines were clear.
Great. And with all the rain that we did have, a few storms we just had here, how are we doing? I know just personally some of the people that call me personally and report to me about flooding in their basements. That has been reduced since we did all that work with the Vector and the catch basins. Did we have a lot of phone calls come in after that storm?
As a matter of fact, I received no phone calls.
That's amazing. Well, thanks a lot for all of your hard work, and I do think that that's something that we're probably going to have to do every 6 months with that Vector going around and picking up all the debris after the leaves and sticks are out in the fall time, and then in the spring as well. So thank you for your quick response. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Orcutt. Mr. Mancini?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for recognizing me. First, I'd like to go to Ed, our engineer. Ed, I was good to hear that about Fabrizi with Sylvia, because I even on both sides, I know one ward is Mr. Orcutt's, but you know, I mean, tree lawns did come out a little rough, and I know they do a good job, and it's good that they follow up. So that's just good to hear. Did they approach you on that, or did you call them on that, or?
The landscaping's has been on the punch list, with a final inspection punch list. So you know, it's, I don't know if it was, I'm not sure who brought it up, if it was, but it's been there, and it's always been there. So and until it's addressed, it'll stay there.
Good, and that's very good to hear. Thank you for that. Randy, our service director, I thought our law director made a great point about the transfer over here. And not only the guys did that, and they did do a great job and let them know, but you know, when you hear 75 ton on a bulk Monday, that's a lot. You know, that's a very lot. I know what them trucks hold, and sometimes they're peaking at 10 and 12 tons. So it's a great job. And actually, and let's go on that while we're at it on the coal patch too. I mean, I got a lot of calls when they did Richard a few weeks ago. A lot of people call, says, what a good job. Would they like their street redone? Sure they would. A lot of people would, but they were very satisfied with that. So that's a very, very good job too. And you know, definitely is not only me and all council, let them know. Okay, thank you very much for that. To Mark, our recreation director, Mark, same here, your staff. I mean, people don't realize they got to work outside also. They got to run programs. They've done a great job with the transfer over here. I said Joni seniors were in the snack bar, which I thought was a great job. I don't know if everybody's went and took a look, but they took the bar and they kind of leveled it off. On that, Mark, the kitchen, the front desk, and the game room, how are we going on that? I know the kitchen's somewhat completed right here behind us, but...
Yeah, the kitchen for the most part is complete. There's one part we have to repair on the sink, and there was a plug on the stove, but everything else is in. The front desk and the let me go to the snack bar. The snack bar area, that part, you know, that bar is in now. The game room will start this week. We have somebody coming who's going to transfer a pool table up from downstairs and recover that. So that will begin this week. And then we've already had in a gentleman from a gaming company to look at the area, kind of size it up, let us know what may fit here or there, and he'll provide us a list of some things for that area. So I would think in the next couple, 2-3 weeks, that should be completed. We certainly wanted to have that done before the kids got back to school, but we'll get it here, like I said, within the next 2-3 weeks. The front desk, we've kind of switched gears a little bit just to take the money that we've allocated for that. With this move to this new room in the community room, we have a number of fitness programs that, you know, for the last 10 months, they have been either tucked away in the mini gym or the back of the snack bar, and some of their numbers have dwindled a little bit. So We've been talking with Bridges downstairs. Their contract is up earlier in the year. Carol and I had taken a look at that contract, so contractually there'll be some things coming here and talking with the mayor near the end of the year, but I've talked with Bridges, and we're going to swap a couple rooms. We're going to be able to utilize the carpeted room downstairs, which is that community room with the fireplace and all. So what we would like to do is tear out that carpet, put a new floor in there, and allow the majority of our fitness classes to go down there and utilize that room. You know, what the hard part now is, and we're sorting it out, but there are some challenges. You know, with City Hall now coming over here and council, there are a lot of government meetings that we have to deal with on top of the classes and programs that we already had scheduled to be here. They all can't fit. So it was important for us to gain some more space to utilize, and we were able to do that with Bridges. So in the next week, we'll start tearing that carpet out, and somewhere here, and again, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, probably within the next month, hopefully we'll be putting in a new floor. So the front desk area will kind of go on the back burner probably till the end of the year, and we'll see what we have left. But I think that money would be better used to help revitalize a lot of the fitness programs.
Sounds good. Thank you very good. Well, thank you very much. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mancini. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To amplify what the Recreation Director said, our meeting today with the Metro Parks what really pertained not just to all the Metro Park pads in the Metro Park system, but to the lake that we want to hook up with Plant Lane. So that was a very productive meeting, I thought, and she came up with the term, it's a critical junction. In other words, if we can do this Plant Lane as we want to do it and hook it up with the lake, it'll make a circumference trail once we tie in the Aerospace Park bikeway over there. So it was a very good meeting, and again, the lake, I think is a very real possibility, and we're going to continue to pursue it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Poindexter.
Thank you, Council President. Mayor, I was involved in.
These are going down to the directors.
Mr. Elliott. I was involved in the meetings with the Cuyahoga Greenways early on, and I'd like to be included in any future meetings that you guys have with them.
Yeah, the gal we met with today, Kelly Kaufman from the Metro Park, she's going to forward a list of upcoming meetings to us.
Okay.
There is a meeting downtown on September 5th, but there are some other ones here more in the communities, which will probably be a little bit more easily able to allow us to attend. And we've also offered our facility as an upcoming meeting place. So hopefully they'll take us up on that. But I will keep you informed, Councilman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poindexter. Anyone else? I'd just like to add a comment to Mr. Garner and to all the service department there. A large thank you to all the men that helped with this move and will continue to help. It's been greatly appreciated and obviously a savings for everybody. Thanks again. All right, so that concludes letter I. We'll move to letter J. Other communications and petitions and verbal approval, introduction of new legislation. First item we have is the appropriation of $2,100 for the final payment to the Reynolds for live streaming of meetings and payment to Boxcast through December 2018 per Council President Vecchio. This has been changed, as we said previously, to $2,100, of which $1,130 will go to the Reynolds and the remainder will be there for the Boxcast payments for the remainder of this year.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion to approve, properly supported. Discussion on the motion. Mr. Poindexter.
Thank you, Council President. Yeah, I'm going to vote in support of this verbal approval. I did vote against the amendment, but it was because of a principle I have where I think people should be paid for the actual work they do. But that shouldn't lead anyone to believe that I don't appreciate the work that the Reynolds have done. I think they did a great job. They provided a good service for our city, and I just want to clarify that I am all in support of paying them for the work they did. So I will support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poindexter. So there's a motion to approve, properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll on the motion.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Perugio?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Mancini?
Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Motion is approved. I'd like to weigh in on that if I could, council. I'd like to personally thank Brandon and Brandy for all they did. I know that the hours that they spent were quite continual, and messages back and forth and everything else. I know that some of it was a daunting task along with the copying. Thank you again. Seeing nothing else under letter J.
Sure.
Mr. Salvatore.
Is there any new legislation?
I have nothing.
I have one I'd like to introduce.
Mr. Salvatore is introducing something on the floor. This is introduced by Councilman Salvatore, Orcutt, Scott, and Stem. An ordinance providing for the submission to the electorate of amendments to Article 4, Section 4.01 and Section 4.02 of the Charter of the City of Brook Park, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. I will place this in the Legislative Committee.
That's where the other one came out of.
Yeah, I think that was in there incorrectly. It should be a legislative item with the ordinance.
You're correct. Mr. Chairman.
A legislator? Mancini.
Mr. Chairman. The other ordinance of similar nature was in the Finance Committee. I think that one should go in the Finance Committee as well. It has to do with compensation too. There's a compensation attached to it.
Don't want to reduce council. Legislative.
Oh.
Legislative.
Being a charter amendment, though, this would be a legislative action, not be a finance action for that item.
The other item
The
was
last one came out of mine.
That was in yours?
Yeah, it was in legislative.
So you want to put it in the Finance or the Legislative?
Legislative Committee.
Okay, then if I may, Mr. Chairman, then through the chair to the chairman of the Finance Committee, I'd ask if you could put that on the next caucus agenda.
It's Rich. It's Rich.
Legislative's been seen.
Oh, that's right. Never mind.
Mr. Chairman?
Never mind.
Mr. Chairman?
I don't know.
It's incorrect on the sheet, Mr. Orcutt.
That is?
Which one? As far as
the Finance Committee?
I'm sorry.
Here. This is one of those Reading Committee.
The Finance Committee, this item was read in, this is what was read in committee, yes. Yes.
The piece that we had on the caucus earlier today? That was in the Finance?
Right. This was, I believe, was put into the Finance Committee by mistake, though. It should have been a Legislative Committee in looking at it.
I do believe I received an email from you, and it had legislative on it, then there was a correction made, it was put in the Finance. Earlier, on Friday, you remember that?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I believe this one originally, whoever put it, whatever committee was originally assigned prior to this council, was put into a Finance Committee incorrectly. It should have been, being a legislative item, this has to do with ordinance.
Mr. Chairman? This is new legislation, right?
This is new, yes.
So what does it matter what the old legislation committee was in?
Consistency is important. But to the chair, and I'd like to ask the chairman to the Finance Committee once again, would you put that on the next caucus agenda?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
so,
you, Mr. Chairman.
well, let's go with clarification on this, and per our council rules, legislative public utility to which shall be referred all ordinances, resolutions, and other matters pertaining to county, state, and federal legislation affecting the city, annexations, redistricting, all initiative, referendum, and recall petitions, all matters relating to courts, ordinances relating to license, and those imposing fines, penalties, forfeitures, or imprisonment, printing and advertising in the city's water supply, sewage disposal ordinances, and resolutions pertaining to rates to be paid by the city to any public utility for street lighting or other utility services, and to existing or proposed franchises. So I would say that being an ordinance as it says there is the correct one for it to go into.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, if you read the one that pertains to the Finance Committee, it would do with compensation. any expenditure, and this would be reducing the amount of expenditures that will be expended towards city council.
I would agree partially with that. I would, honestly, I would, but there's not a clear-cut dollar figure that it says on here. So I can't say that it would be a finance item. Being an amendment to the section of the charter would be a legislative action. So as chairman and directing the flow of this process, this is going to go into the legislative committee.
Mr. Chairman, I'm fine with that. We have an honest chairman of the legislative committee, and he's extended the courtesy to put this on right away. It is time sensitive, so again, thank you, Mr. Chairman of the legislative committee.
You're welcome, Councilman Salvatore.
Where's it on? 828, Caucus Prayer?
Yep.
Caucus prayer on the 828?
Yeah.
All right, so we have nothing else on letter J. We'll move to letter K, miscellaneous business, appointments, and confirmations. We have nothing there. Letter L, remarks from the audience on any subject matter. This time, you can come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
First? I'm the first? Okay. Elizabeth Sayers, 23065 Cedar Point Road, which will no longer be. This is my last meeting here because I have a new address, so let's not all get excited. I came up to say thank you for everybody, and it was a good run. I just got concerns in my neighborhood that should have been addressed, but it seems that it was addressed, but it was never followed through, wasn't taken care of. And you said talking about a home business, having a business run out of your home. So when my home's vacant, I can't run my business out of it. Don't want any trouble there. I asked very nicely to put the last flowers that are in a little plastic cup up there because the gazebo I'm no longer going to be part of anymore. And I didn't know somebody was going to be so anal about putting flowers in here. The place is dull and ugly anyway, but it's new. I'll consider that, but I think that was very lame that you're so worried about little nicks and little dirt or a little plastic pot with real flowers in it from the gazebo to go up there. That's okay. It's not my rec center. I'm just here to say goodbye. I don't want to keep repeating anything because people don't like that. A lot of people don't like me. A lot of people say, thank God she's leaving, and that's good. At least they acknowledge that I'm leaving finally. But my neighborhood needs some serious looked at. There's so much over there that needs to be done. And to go to sell our house next year, it's going to be a joke. You know, there's cars that have been sitting around, there's nasty looking yards, there's just nasty looking houses. The whole area is starting to go downhill. It used to be a beautiful place over there to live. I had offers people to buy my house already, and I'm not even out of it, totally. But, you know, I had one person come to my house, and they couldn't believe that the city just has a laid-back ordeal over there because I'm on the west side. Well, you know, I asked a lot of times for somebody to walk through the neighborhood with me, okay? I've seen city workers go through there. I got a city worker that lives near me, and, you know, I just can't comprehend this. If you really care about the city, why don't you take one little section and straighten it out? And I don't think any of you would want to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning hearing an air nailer, somebody trying to put up a shed at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's okay. But when I start my lawnmower at 8 o'clock in the morning, I have the police there. Anyway, I'm leaving. And you know what? If you're so picky about this room because it's brand new and you can't even set a little plastic container down with some flowers for the gazebo that I have fought so hard to keep it clean, and I kept my word on taking care of that gazebo. I was lied about certain things. I was told off, been screamed at. I even been sworn at. But if you're going to be anal about this place, I think you better start looking at the rest of the rec center. You got mold, you got all kinds of crap here, okay? Just because you shut off an area of this building because of the rotten roof or whatever, do you realize you need to study about mold and what it does to people, especially with people with respiratory problems and people that come in here and can't breathe, they get nauseous and everything? Why don't you start taking a look at that? Okay? I had one lady get totally sick out in the parking lot. She got nauseous in here and everything. Okay? There's more to it than putting this room in here, making the cafeteria look pretty. Whoopee. I'd be more concerned about people's health, their breathing, and everything else. When you smell like something that smells stale or old or whatever, that's the mold. Okay? But if you guys all want this place to look all prettified and make it look good, come on. You have your own workers here at the rec center that looked up what happens when you're around mold for a certain amount of time. Okay? I have a little bit more compassion towards other people and think about other people's health and everything. And think about it. I never smoked in my life, never did drugs. I'm hooked on Pepsi. And I walk in here and it's enough to gag you, especially when you go over to a workout over there. But see, everybody wants to sugarcoat this and be nice because we like the rec center and it's so pretty and we love everybody here. Because nobody wants to stand up to anybody. Nobody wants to confront everybody. But boy, we can sure get all, oh, look at me, look what I've done. This rec center needs a lot more than just prettified. And that pool area, go in there and stand in there for a couple days. Pack a little lunch, make sure you can go to the restroom, and smell how bad that is. That just doesn't stay in one room. Mold, blossoms and it goes into the air. But Jiminy Cricket, it's a brand new place, and somebody that's not going to come back, this is her last time here, can't even put a little lousy little flower up on your little thing up there because I want it to look nice. I don't want any damage here. Well, you better put some signs on those doors. No food, no pop, nothing comes in here. Because it's going to be spilled on your pretty little floor, or somebody's going to drop something on your little floor, and oh my gosh, it ruined the finish of your floor. I think that's pretty lame. But you know what? That's okay, because you know what? I learned a lot in this 15 years of being with all you people here in Brook Park. I can't believe how much backstabbing, how much criticizing, you name it, I have received. And I haven't done anything to any of you. I have asked for things. I have tried talking to people. Because I stand up and say it like it is. Brook Park has an issue about it. Well, good for all of you. Because you know what? Somebody's got to take a stand and stand up here and actually, hey, what's the problem here? What is everybody's problem? You're afraid that you're going to be talked to on Facebook? Because that's what everybody's afraid of. Well, you know that social media, everybody can go lay an egg for all I care. But to go around and talk to everybody, it's like talking to a brick wall here. Who's actually done anything for the people? All of you, I'm 63 years old. Whoopee. But there's a lot of people here that are older than me that need a lot of help, need people to talk to them and get the right information about this city. And I wanted to go talk to all these people. Find out what these people's problems are. Help these people. But the next thing I hear, there's no senior citizen. I wanted to put up a daycare center here for adults, adult daycare center. I talked to the state and everything. But you know the reason why I wouldn't follow through with it? Because you always got somebody coming at you. Well, I'm going to go tell the mayor because then I'm going to go tell the building department. I'm going to go, yeah. Bunch of hens. You can't do it. Not unless I say so. Well, I'm going to have an empty house. If I want to run a business out of it, because as long as I don't advertise in my front yard, I'm allowed to put it on my vehicle in my driveway. I checked all the laws out. I got a neighbor next door that we don't even know who lives there because he rents his rooms out. How'd you like to live next to that? But he's allowed to do it because he lives there. I'm allowed to run a business in my home because I'm not advertising it outside of that house or in that yard. Well, maybe I will start my daycare, my adult daycare. Start looking after the elderly here because it doesn't seem anybody else is. And for the sewers and everything, our basement doesn't get flooded. A lot of the problems here in the city with homes, they're old. They got clay tiles around their homes. Those clay tiles collapse and everything, and a lot of people get flooded basements because of that. The city can come and clean out their whatever, but it's around the house. And a lot of people don't know that, and I didn't understand why they don't. Because a lot of the problems in my neighborhood is because they're old, and the tiles collapse around the foundation of the houses, and you can't blame the city. Your basement floods, you gotta make sure you get an inspection around your house. Then go to Randy and complain to him. But other than that, you know. So anyway, thank you for letting me speak my mind. I got a new address as of September 1st. And I hope all you guys do well. I hope you guys can work out all the issues here. But it only takes one person to change it all. And you need that one person to change the city because it's not changing at all. The social media is running this place. And until you guys all wake up, that's what's going on with this city. You're letting social media and these people run all of us. And the threats. You know, I can't talk to the mayor. Every time I go to the mayor, I like to know how they find out everything I say to the mayor. And how they know the day I went to see the mayor. You know how that hurt? I talked to Mayor, sorry, Mayor Mike, I won't call you, call me Mayor. And you know, I found out all kinds of info that I thought was a private conversation in City Hall. It got back to me. I couldn't believe it. And I chewed out his secretary. And I yelled at him. But see, this is what I can't understand. I thought we had confidentiality if we wanted a private conversation with any of you. It all came back at me on social media. I sent it all to my attorney. Somebody's got to step up to the city and start putting their foot down and start doing something to straighten out the city. Because the people in the city don't want to work with you. A lot of people are afraid. A lot of people are tired of hearing it. Somebody better step up, do something. Bye. And I hope somebody stands up, faces the music. And if I have anything more to say, and if it's not confidential between the two of us again, so be it. But I know now not to talk to any of you anymore, because I learned the hard way. Bye. And by the way, Mr. Elliott, this wouldn't hurt your little...
Liz, please.
Well, I got a right to say something.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, you're going to be anal about this place. Fix the rest of it.
Please come forward.
Catherine McCutcheon, my address is 5734 Norwood Drive, Brook Park. All of us are committed to the safety of our residents, our children, our motorists, our bicyclists in this city, and I'm sure that that's something we all agree on. I am both a motorist and I am also a bicyclist. Not the ones with the motors, but the one that you pedal, okay? In the state of Ohio, last year, advocacy groups in the state of Ohio, including my husband and myself, proposed a law which has been established in the state of Ohio, and it is the law asking for 3-foot distance between motorists and bicyclists. In the city of Brook Park, we have an ordinance addressing the bicyclists. It is number 373.06E. Every person operating a bicycle upon a roadway shall ride as near to the right side of the roadway as practicable, obeying all traffic rules applicable to vehicles, exercising due care when passing and standing vehicle or one proceeding in the same direction. I don't have my glasses on, sorry. I can't read my own writing. As a member of the bicycling community of Ohio and just a long-time bicyclist, I would like to offer each of you council people a gift. And my gift is a poster, which is the state law requiring motorists to be 3-foot distance from cyclists who are on the roadway. And each of you has a gift from Ron and myself for you to post in a conspicuous place to be a reminder to motorists who are passing bicyclists on the road. It seems that summertime is a good time for bicycling, but actually many people choose to ride more in autumn and fall. School will be starting, and we hope that you will put these signs in a conspicuous place. Everything is ready for you. All you have to do is just post it in a conspicuous place on a road that is well-traveled. Each of you has your own name on one of these posters, and I will leave them in the City Council office for you. Okay? Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and safe cycling and safe motoring, okay?
Thank you. All right, seeing no one else, we'll move forward. Letter M, introduction of ordinances and resolutions for first reading. Mr. Salvatore?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, prior to entering into the business section of our meeting, if you'd be so kind to allow for a moment of silence. We lost a long-time resident last a couple of days ago. He was a one-time policeman in our city. One time he was nominated and elected Athlete of the Year back in the 60s. He had a 20-year battle with a disease, and he was a real fighter. He went the distance, but it ended. In fact, he played on a Little League team that went from Brook Park back in the 60s. It was headed up by the late Bill Huffsey, that went to Williamsport, Pennsylvania. That's going on as we speak. The Little League World Series is going on right now in Williamsport, PA. And at one time, Brook Park sent a team there, and they did pretty well. And he was on that team as well. And his name was Dennis Studier. He was a great guy and a longtime resident, and we just lost him. So if we could have a moment of silence, I'd appreciate it.
I'll recognize that request. If everyone would, let's take a moment to honor the passing of Dennis Studier and obviously his life, which was quite significant to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. All right, so letter M, we had nothing there. Letter N, we have second reading of ordinances and resolutions. We have one item, ordinance number 11,031-2018, authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract for the sale of property located at 15810 Harrison Drive, permanent parcel number 343-07-048, and declaring an emergency, introduced by Mayor Gamella.
Move to suspend.
Support.
Motion to suspend properly supported. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none.
Eddie wanted
I'm sorry? You can speak.
Eddie wanted to discuss it. It's
I just had my hand raised to speak, but you already have a motion on the floor. That's fine.
It would be under discussion.
Yeah, under discussion.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're under discussion.
I just was going to make that motion. That's all I was raising my hand for. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor to suspend, properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Motion to suspend has been approved.
Motion to adopt.
Support.
Motion to adopt, properly supported. Discussion on adoption.
Mr. Chairman.
Scott?
Mr. Salvatore.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to add that I will be voting for this tonight. I do believe the people on Harrison Drive deserve to have that house redone and put it behind us. I may not have agreed with the method that was used. I think we could have gotten more money, but I think there comes a time where you just have to move on and get things done, and hopefully the next time that this comes our way that we'll look at other ways to provide a mechanism that can bring in a little more money for us, but I will be supporting it this evening.
Mr. Mancini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for recognizing me. I concur with my colleague, Mr. Salvatore. We probably could have got more money, but it is time to move. It's Mr. Orcutt's ward, who works very hard in Ward 3, and any improvement is a good improvement. And it's about moving ahead with this city and building. All the ward leaders work hard, all the councilmen work hard, all the administrators work hard. A lot of people work hard in this city, regardless of what was set up at that microphone. And this is part of it, moving ahead, and that's what we're going to keep doing. So that's all I have to say. I will be supporting this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mancini. Seeing no one else, Michelle, please call the roll on adoption.
Scott?
Yes.
Mancini?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Ordinance number 11,031-2018 has been adopted. Move on to letter O, third reading of ordinances and resolutions. We do not have any. At this time, council, it's been requested an executive session for negotiations of bargaining sessions with public employees concerning compensation, so I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Motion so made.
Motion to go in, properly supported. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Salvatore?
Yes.
We'll reconvene when the executive session is complete.
Right back there.
Hey, the rest of them before we go?
Yeah.
Should you send a copy of that Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Good job on the
Anything like the ones that
Okay. That's cool. I'll go with that. I think so too. No, I think we're absolutely no. Here, it's an awful small room. Groups. Groups of what?
Mr. President, I gotta ask you a question.
I don't answer questions on Tuesday, sir.
Oh, sorry. I know.
We're not done. No, this is executive session.
You hit it. You hit it.
I have a question. All this was everything you're hearing right now is going to box.
Yes. How come that wasn't that things today?
Not going to be on.
I thought we were going to have some agenda stuff like that.
When somebody comes up here to do a presentation,
Okay, Randy, take care. Hey.
No, that's yours. I got the original. I have the original.
All right, we're back to the regular order of business.
Hold on a minute.
Oh,
Motion to go back in the regular order of business?
Support.
I can't tell if it's not muted or not. See what I'm saying?
Mute. Volume up. Volume up.
Oh, volume up.
There it is.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
We're back to the regular order of business.
Motion to go back to the regular order of business? Support.
Motion to go back to the regular order of business, properly supported. Michelle, please call the roll.
Mancini?
Yes.
Stem?
Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Motion is approved. We're back in the regular order of business. We are now at letter P.
Motion to adjourn?
Support.
Motion to adjourn, properly supported. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, Michelle, please call the roll.
Stem?
Yes.
Mancini?
Yes.
Poindexter?
Yes.
Salvatore?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bergio?
Yes.
Orcutt?
Yes.
Motion is approved. This meeting is adjourned. Council, hang out for a second. Ted needs us. I believe this is muted. I hit the mute button.
Just one touch.
I have to get a stylus. Okay.